Next up on the show segment, I'm very excited about it, and a first time happening for the In the Money Media Network, even though this is a guest who's been on our airwaves before. This is the first time they're joining us, and we can say we have a Jeopardy second chance finalist on hand, creating quite a stir in the Twitterverse and elsewhere last night with their performance, which, captured the imagination of a nation, or at least horse-facing Twitter, or somewhere in between. Really proud to welcome back the In the Money airwaves, Rowan Ward. Rowan, what's up?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Have your feet touched back to the ground, or are you still floating from
I'm still floating. I've been kind of floating and not able to tell anyone since that aired since that taped in like September. But now everyone got to see, and it's like, yay!
Well, seriously, congratulations. That's awesome. And folks around here know, no stranger, not just to being a contestant on competitions of this nature, also a fantastic host. One of these days, maybe this holiday season, we get you back for another Christmas quiz.
That would be awesome. I had so much fun with that last year.
Unless you're too big time for us now. I don't want to make any assumptions.
No. I mean, I'm here now, aren't I?
we can still talk to you, but maybe it's best we don't look you directly in the eye. Maybe
no, you can look me in the eye. Like, my eyes are the same as they always were.
We're here to talk about another kind of competition, and this is a race you've been with us for, I think, maybe the last 2 years running to discuss at the Breeders' Cup. Can you imagine if they ran the Breeders' Cup and then you didn't get to know the results for 3 months? What fun would that be? But
that would be really weird. And I mean, at least with the second chance, it was only embargoed for a little over a month. Last year when I was on Jeopardy, it was 3.5 months, and that big to have to sit on for so long.
Let's talk about this Juvenile Turf Sprint, my friend. There's so many interesting storylines in here. I'll let you pick your own topic. Where shall we begin?
I mean, there are a lot of interesting storylines here. There's not a whole long history with the race, but, looking at the 4 editions that they've already had, American Speed has been your friend all 4 times. And the last 3 years, it's been Wesley Ward. What's interesting with Wesley Ward is that as far as class is concerned, Love Reigns fits that mold. But am I sold on Love Reigns making the top? Not necessarily, especially if some of these, top of the list alsos draw in. So that's going to make things interesting. I mean, obviously Love Reigns fits, and I won't be surprised if she goes off the favorite, especially because, well, Wesley Ward. This is the Juvenile Turf Sprint. Wesley Ward has won 3 out of 4 times. Another interesting story where certainly figures, not sure I'm sold, especially at the likely short price, is one of the internationals, the Platinum Queen. I'm sure the Platinum Queen is going to get bet, because how often do you have a horse coming into the Juvenile Turf Sprint who's won a win and you're in for the grown-up turf sprint?
An infrequent occurrence, to say the least.
No, an infrequent occurrence. And I mean, obviously, she has the class. Like, she won the Prix de la Bay against the older. She ran second behind, oh goodness, what's her name? Highfield Princess.
Highfield Princess, yes.
Highfield Princess. Earlier in the year, and that's an ambitious campaign, and so she's obviously very good. But again, how many times has an international won the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint? Never. How many
not on the juvenile side?
Sorry, you're right. That's what I'm talking about. The juvenile side. Obviously, we've had, glass slippers in the big boys, or big girls, if you will. But how many times has an international hit the board in the Juvenile Turf Sprint? 3. There have been a few, and they've all been double-digit prices. You had So Perfect, the chalk, at 10-1. You better believe it was third at 26-1. Go Bears Go was second at 12-1 last year. So it's like, those internationals can hit the board, but then again, I'm not sure we've had an international quite like the Platinum Queen. But again, she's Euro. She's not American Speed, which tends to hold. So, my first question when I'm handicapping this race is, where are you going to find the good old-fashioned American speed? And that's not super clear. I mean, Tyler's Tribe, all he does is go to the lead. So you know darn well that he's going to try. Turf is obviously a question. He's trained on it, but, the Sharp Aztecas have been taking well to the turf. Not as much turf on the bottom side, so that's still, I think, kind of a question for me, but Tyler's Tribe is at least going to go. You have Speedboat Beach, who's stretching out to 5.5, who did lead in the maiden win over the dirt, and, fast California speed, that's a thing, shortened up to a flat 5 for the prep, for the speakeasy, stretch back out to 5.5. He might be the lead. What I think is going to be really interesting is I'm not going to have any real, final, this is a horse I'm super keen on until we see the final field, because the horse who I really think is going to be just fits my profile of a Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint horse in the sense of just goes to the lead, is proven at that sort of trip on turf. I mean, every Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint winner has won at either 5.5 or 5 on the turf. Even there's one winner who prepped going 6 and then cut back, but had won at 5.5 earlier. So you want one of those, someone who's at least won at one of those conventional turf sprint trips. I want to wait and see if Sharp as Attack draws in.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if Sharp as Attack draws in, that's your, wave your little flag, your good old-fashioned American speed.
And stuck on pretty well at that testing Kentucky down. Seems like one might be suited by the cutback here, though.
That's exactly it. He's going to be suited the cutback. There are people who may shy away a little bit because he lost last out, but it's Kentucky Downs. Kentucky Downs form holds at, wait for it, Kentucky Downs.
One of the great horse for course tracks, and a 6.5 that can honestly play, in my experience, almost more like a mile. So I think be forgiving of that. And especially if the ground is firm, which long-range forecasts suggest could be the case, actually. It feels awesome. Like this is an interesting idea. And it's okay. We'll allow the fence sitting here, especially not only because it's probably the toughest race to do without knowing exactly who's going to be in it, but also because we'll have an opportunity. We'll come back to you in one format or another next week and allow you to give something more along the lines of a final answer in this spot.
I would love to do that next week once we have a set field, once we have post draws, because that's going to be tactical and that's going to be crucial. And it really is hard to draw up tactics, especially in a juvenile race. When I'm looking at some of these and it's like, okay, I know your class right now, but especially some of these Euros, it's like, they lead one race and they're mid-pack one race and they close one race. And it's like on the Euros, I kind of throw out the lead just because European speed doesn't tend to out jump American speed to the top. I mean, we're a bit of a pedal to the metal bunch here in the US of A. And in this race, that matters.
No doubt about it. We just have about a minute left, Rowan. If you had any others you wanted to mention for the short list from this far out, but failing that, we'll come and bother you next week. We got a few different ways we can pull people back in to get something more aligned to the final answers for this.
The one other one that I just want to mention is, you've always got to mention the horse who won the local prep, and that's the Indian Summer, and that is Private Creed, who drew into the main field for Steve Asmussen. And Private Creed is one of those horses who, good form, has won 3 out of 4 times and wasn't bad the one time that he was defeated by Oxmoor in the Skidmore. My question with Private Creed is the running style. Like, I think he's going to be facing something a little tougher on the front end, and just that's not what's necessarily won these juvenile turf sprints. Is there a price at which I would bet Private Creed? I'd consider it, because local winner, and maybe there's not like someone quite as imperious on the speed as in previous years, especially if Sharp as Attack doesn't draw in. But especially as the local prep winner, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get that price. And we'll see next week when the field is drawn. So that's kind of my pre-interesting horses, the way I generally like to look at the race, and we'll see what happens next week. And I got my fingers crossed that Sharp as Attack is going to draw in.
We appreciate your thoughts. We appreciate your ideas. We appreciate you. We'll be watching your television exploits with fun. And we know those charts, they're not going to call themselves. So we'll let you get
They're not going to call themselves.
We'll let you get back to work, and we'll be talking soon. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.